Well, like all of you know, Tammy and I spend most of our time eating. We call ourselves the Grub Gang, and we've had the opportunity to eat at a lot of great restaurants, and so we're kind of locked in like everybody else, and we know that our grub is the best grub there is, so I thought some of you would like to see what we're going to have tonight. I'm going to show you how to prepare it. I'll throw in the comments below the recipe with all the quantities. Maybe you'd like to make it. I think you'll find most of the stuff that you already have around the house. We call this the big meatball. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to start out with about 1 pound of ground beef. I prefer the 80-20. And then I've added about a half a pound of hot Italian sausage. If you don't want to use hot, you can use the mild. That'd be fine. If you only have the mild, but you wish you had the hot, you can grab some of these crushed red pepper flakes and just drop those in there with the mild sausage, and you'll have the hot sausage. Just remember, a little of this goes a long way. Okay, so we're going to put about a small medium onion in on top of that. We're going to add about a half a cup or so of Parmesan cheese. I'm going to add about a quarter cup of fresh or dried parsley. You don't have to adjust for it being the fresh or the dried. Then we're going to put in about a cup or so of breadcrumbs, about a couple tablespoons of fresh garlic chopped, a little bit of black pepper. You may want a little bit more. There's a lot of meat there to season, and especially if you're using mild sausage, a little bit more of the black pepper. Then we're going to add a little bit of salt. Again, there's a pretty good little bit of meat in there, and so I wouldn't worry too much about that. And then the final is 4 eggs, yolks and whites. Now, as we put this together, you should have an oven preheat. In fact, you just heard mine beep for 450 degrees. I'll also give you one other little treat, a little trick here, and that is put out your meat, your sausage and your hamburger meat about 30 minutes before you're ready to mix it up. 1, it'll mix easier, and 2, you won't freeze your fingers as you're mixing it all together. So what we want to do is we want to incorporate all of those ingredients with one another. Now, we're going to make the big meatball tonight, but you actually can use this recipe to make individual sized meatballs, and you could do that by grabbing one of these little scoops, you know, and just make the kind of meatballs that you want, or just pick them out by hand the size that you want. This recipe probably makes about, 35 or 40 golf ball size meatballs. But like I said, tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to make the big meatball. And I'll show you what that means as soon as we get this all mixed up. We're going to cook these for about, I would guess you'd probably cook, if you're going to do the little meatballs, they're going to go about 15 minutes. If you're going to put them in the big meatball, you may want to go 20. One of the things you can do is when you take them out is just cut one open and take a look at it, make sure it's done all the way through, especially since it's got that sausage in there. You want to make sure it's all done, not only for safety's sake, but more for its consistency. You want it to be all cooked. So what I like to do for the big meatball is I like to get one, a good, tennis ball, baseball size. We're going to ball those up. We'll put those on a piece of parchment on our cookie sheet. I would encourage you use the parchment, because if you don't, what you're going to find is that you got this sticking all over. This recipe probably will make about 6 of the big meatballs. Again, you just want to try to get them all uniform so that they'll all cook equally at the same time. Let me finish these up. We'll throw them in the oven, and then I'll show you how to finish these for service. One thing about this recipe is you can eat it by itself, or you can take the recipe and you can put it, as we're going to tonight, put it on pasta with a little bit of sauce, either homemade or maybe a jarred sauce that you already have in the cabinet. Either will work fine. The other nice thing about this recipe is you can make the meatballs, cook them in the oven, and then take them, and once they're cooled, freeze them, not individually on the cookie sheet, then put them in a Ziploc bag, or if you have one of those vacuum sealer bags, and suck it all the air out of it, put them back in the freezer, and they're ready to pull out, and just throw them in some sauce a little bit later and simmer them either for a meatball sub sandwich or for something else. Okay, so we got 6 of those there. We're gonna slide them into a 450 degree oven, and then when they're all done, we'll come back and we'll show you how to finish that off. Okay? Okay, we're back. It's been about 20-25 minutes. The meatballs, they're all done. I want to show you how to finish this and how to plate it for service. They say that you eat with your eyes first. I don't know about that. My nose is going crazy right now. I wish you could smell it. So here's what we're going to do. First of all, we're going to take the meatballs, just take them, and I put them down in just some sauce. You can do a homemade sauce. I think a jarred sauce is fine with this if you have a preference, because the meatball is really the star of the show here. So we're going to just put that down in. You can simmer that for a little bit, 10, 15 minutes if you like. If your sauce is already hot, the meatball's already cooked, it really doesn't take much longer for everything to be ready. So I'll just put a little bit of sauce there while it kind of reheats everything. We'll let it sit in the sauce for just a little bit. Then I've got some pasta. Again, it's a big meatball, but a little bit of pasta underneath it makes it nice. My wife always liked lots of pasta, so we're going to give her a big portion tonight of that. So there's that right there. Reach over here now. We've got our meatballs all ready to go. Well, they get to be a little slickery. So I'm going to take one of those meatballs that's been sent down in the sauce, put that right up on that big bed of pasta. Put a little more of that sauce on there to kind of help out, not the meatball, but the spaghetti that's underneath it, or the pasta that's underneath it. You can put it on any kind of bulky pasta if you want, but this is kind of spaghetti and meatball is kind of the original classic. We'll put a little bit of Parmesan cheese, or as my wife would say, a whole lot of Parmesan cheese on there. A little bit of parsley, kind of to finish that all off, give it a little more of those Italian colors, and there you have it. It's the big meatball. Be watching. We'll offer some more recipes. See the recipe and all the ingredient list for this below. Love to hear your comments. Love to see samples of pictures when you make this particular recipe. We'll offer some more things in the future. Thanks for all of you tuning in. See you later. Bon appetit.